So, as you may have noticed, I'm a teacher. And so that means I think about teaching a lot and I think about what makes good teaching. And for the most part, I really agree with Paul Dietrichs when he says the art of the teacher at its best is the reinforcement of good things. And so, what I want to talk to you today is about the role of praise in teaching. But I should also say that I'm skeptical of praise. This is my former college professor, Richard Roth, and this is what he said when he gave us a critique on the student newspaper that he critiqued for us. So, one of the things that I want to think about and talk about is this ambivalence about praise and its. So, I teach a lot of different kinds of students. My students, for the most part, are really good readers and writers. They are hip, they're literate. They would not be out of place in an episode of The Gilmore. However, not everybody is like that. Some students are what Daly and Miller have called high apprehensives. And so basically what that means is that some students are so apprehensive about writing that they will avoid the act of writing entirely. So high apprehensive research has shown go into fields that require less writing. They actually go into majors that require less writing. They are so apprehensive about writing that they will do almost anything to avoid it. Brings me to my job. I teach writing, and so many of these high apprehensives come into my class, and usually they sit in the back row and they avoid eye contact, and my job is to make them write. And oftentimes I think, am I evil for doing this? And then I come to the conclusion that, yeah, I. So this comes to my ambivalence about praise. On the one hand, I think praise is a really important tool in teaching writing. On the other hand, though, I'm pretty suspicious about the role of praise, and I want to try to explain where that suspicion comes from. I am from the Midwest. I'm from Indiana specifically, and where I come from, people don't praise each other. They don't really talk to each other. They don't actually say much of anything. We just kind of walk around holding in our emotions in at all times. The high priest of Indiana culture is this guy you see right here, Bob Knight, who is famous for throwing a chair across a basketball floor while an actual basketball played. So that's the first part. The second thing is I learned to write in newsrooms, writing for newspapers. And I learned to write under deadline. I learned to write quickly, and I learned to write in high pressure situations. So there's not a lot of room for praise in newsrooms because there's not a lot of time. You have to go back what you screwed up and you have to do it quickly. So when it comes down to it, I learned to write by writing badly. And I think that has a lot of value in terms of learning what to do and how to solve the problems that writing often presents. So I come back to this question, what's the role of praise in teaching writing? And could praise actually be dangerous in the teaching of writing? Could it actually turn into a train wreck? And the answer is, yeah, it sort of can. Things that we know is the Kruger-Dunning effect, which basically says that people who perform really poorly on tasks like writing and grammar actually think they're doing a really, really good job. So there's this really wide gap between performance and perception of poor performance. So if you praise someone who's doing poorly, who thinks they're doing okay, reinforcing that misperception. However, one of the things that Brenna Shaughnessy has told us is that writing is an act of confidence. Every time we set out to write something, it's something completely new, something that we've never done before. So confidence plays an important role in writing. Praise plays an important role in that confidence. At its base, every act of writing is kind of an exercise in magical thinking. Thinking that you can do something that really you have no proof that you're able to do. So in order to accomplish that, you have to have some degree of confidence, and praise plays an important role in that confidence. But as Ken Macaroni says, we should encourage, but never falsely. So one of the things that I want to leave you with is the idea that praise is important, but genuine praise is how we should go about thinking about praising in the act of writing. Find something that actually works rather than praising in generalities or falsely. So my last thought that I want to leave you with is that with a little bit of practice, praise is kind of like a muscle. The more you use it, the more you're comfortable with it and the stronger it is. And even a maniac like this guy can turn into a happy, praiseworthy person like the guy you see in the picture.